Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. For today, what I want to do is go ahead and talk about Fat Acceptance TikTok again. And I wanted to talk about, or I guess just pose the question to you guys. When do you think it's okay to talk about people's bodies? When do you think it's okay to bring it up? They hate it. The irony of that is that they constantly talk about it. All the time.
Here's how you know fat phobia is just so pervasive in our society, right? You see anyone on the internet who's remotely thin eating food, the focus of people's response and engagement is never about their health, how they look. It's usually never about the food either. Like, there's just never a focus on negativity surrounding what they're eating. But then you see a fat person, it doesn't matter. They could be eating a cheeseburger, they could be eating a salad. It doesn't matter. They could be drinking water or coffee. And people are like, well, I bet there's like 600 fucking calories in your coffee. That's why you're fat. That's why you're obese, you're disgusting, you're ugly. Go lose weight. It's crazy.
Okay, so with this, I will just say it's a bit of a reach. If fat phobia is so pervasive in society, you would not have to talk about online comment sections. People that are online and in comments, they are nasty or mean or anything about literally anything at all the time. People just like the anonymity of being online, and so they say things that they wouldn't say, and sometimes that they don't even mean, just because they want to elicit a response. This is what we call a troll within the online world. Welcome. So when you're looking at comments and stuff, it can also, depending on the situation, many times multiple people will spam accounts. They'll use different accounts to make it seem like there's more of them. I just think you have to kind of look at comments with much more of a grain of salt than that, because the only way that you're going to really prove to anybody that fat phobia exists, in the sense that it's everywhere all the time, which it isn't, which is why they have a problem, is if you show real examples. And what I always say about fat phobia is it does exist, but it is not a constant daily onslaught of fat phobia that happens every second of every day. I've had about 3 fat phobic encounters in real life over the course of 10 years. Most fat phobia occurs within the family. Most fat phobia is internalized. So most of the time it's against yourself. This happens also with thin people. I think we all remember the Taylor Swift debacle, don't we? But regardless of dealing with those feelings of theirs, they would rather try to control or be upset about what other people say, which is a battle that you will never win. I can assure you, as somebody who is currently counting calories as of today, I'm back because it's spring. Like I told y'all, it is not fun to count calories, but it is definitely within my power to do so, especially when you compare it to controlling the words that come out of other people's mouths or what they're going to type. It's definitely not within the locus of control, but what you eat is, which should be a neutral statement, but to a lot of them it isn't. But I do wonder, what do you guys think? Do you think it is an issue to comment on what people are eating or not? For me, it ultimately comes down to the fact that you can't control what people eat either. You really cannot control what other people do. I know for me personally, I will have certain feedback at times, or I will say certain things now and again, occasionally, but The only person I really harp on is my mom. Everyone else will do as they do. And it's really just, you give the information, people take it or leave it, and that's about it. It's really that simple. I don't think about it too much. I don't trip about it all the time. But these people do. If people told me things, I'll look at it or I won't, or I'll listen to what they say or I don't. It just doesn't matter. It's interesting. But I don't understand the wanting of, the want to control what other people say. It's kind of a waste of energy and time. So while I may not like what everybody says, and while she may not like what everybody says, to try to control it or to just complain about it, especially in an online space, is cringy. Just get off of the internet. That's what any sane person would do if it was that much of an issue. But it probably isn't, because you're just doing it for clout. Let's move on to the next person.
The thing I don't think we talk about enough is the fact that anti-fat bias is often performative. I frequently encounter individuals who have close relationships with people in their lives who they love and respect who are fat, and they know that fatness doesn't make someone less competent, less capable, or less worthy, but who still engage in fat-phobic behavior with certain people in certain settings.
The weird thing about this to me is that a lot of people, even within the fat acceptance community, will act as if they've never made fun of somebody for being fat or talked crap about somebody for being fat. But then they'll also say, I used to be so fat phobic. And it's like, if even within your own community you're doing that, are you really shocked that thin people do? Are you really that surprised? I myself, I've talked shit about people for being fat all the time. Not constantly, but enough. But the thing is, most people don't view fatness as something to a person's core identity. It's something that is just I don't know, how people, some people probably hate the way my hair is. They probably can't stand it. If somebody were to make fun of my haircut, that's not making fun of who I am. That's not attacking me as a person. It's attacking the haircut. So it's kind of like a lot of people don't see fatness as inherent to the person. That's actually more of a fat person thing, and especially a fat acceptance person thing. People tend to view themselves as a fat person. I don't. I view myself as a person. And most thin people don't view themselves as a thin person. They just view themselves as a person. That's how most people look at it. So I don't think that she understands that people cannot like fatness, but not see it as inherent to who a person is, and not like the person just because they're fat. It's not that complicated, but it's something that for some reason Hannah Talks Bodies clearly doesn't understand.
And this is because being cruel or dismissive to fat people is not only socially acceptable, but it's encouraged. So much so that harassing fat people can even be a way for people, and especially men, to bond and gain social capital.
So that comment was really weird to me. Unless if she's talking about gay men, no. Women love to talk shit about fat people. Most of the people on my channel are women. Hey y'all. Women love this topic. Women love to talk about these things. Women love to compare and contrast their bodies with other women. It's just something natural that has happened probably for all eternity. It's very common in the gay world as well. I'm sure you guys are not shocked. But it is what it is, right? It's kind of a feminine quality to do so. So I find that interesting that she said that. Guys usually will talk about bodies in the context of if they want to sleep with them or not. So that comment was weird to me, and I felt like it was her trying to push something or like trying to put something else in there that wasn't real at all or clearly had no basis in reality, unless if she has never had girlfriends in her life, if she's never, I mean, anyways, I've had a lot of girlfriends, and you know, it comes up. People talk about it. But for me, like, I don't internalize it. So I don't actually care. You know, there's been many a time when me and a girlfriend, we've both not liked a girl and we've talked about how she's gotten fat and, you know, just all this stuff. It's so common in general. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's so much that it's performative in such that it's just a way to attack somebody, you know? That's all it is. People do that all the time, and girls do it all the time as well.
We see this all the time in gaming chats, Reddit threads, trolling campaigns, and also in person with bullying and harassment.
It's weird to me that she focused so much on the internet. Again, it's like, what is with these people in the internet? Like, do they ever get out? Do they ever, you know, I live online a lot. I do a lot of stuff online. I'm trying to work online now. I watch YouTube a lot. I'm into many different communities, discourses. You know, I've been parts of different communities. I've been on Zoom calls. I've done, you know, Discord servers and just so many different things within the online world, but I still have plenty of real life experiences. And when I talk about issues, I don't jump to online. It's like, do you ever get out? Like, honestly, it's just odd to me. I don't know. It's just weird. And it's in no way as intense as if you were hearing all these things in person all the time. But when I talk about talking crap about people and stuff, I've done it in person. I've seen it in person. We've all done it. And it's like, I don't understand why fatness would be this holy thing that nobody can ever touch or talk about, when people will pick on and talk about and talk down about literally anything about a person. Anything. But this fat thing, oh, well, that one's fake. That one's performative. That one's not real. It doesn't make any sense. Have you ever criticized somebody you liked? I just don't believe her. I think she's such a liar. I swear.
In these types of settings, fatphobic behavior is expected, or else the person won't be accepted as a valid member of the group. So even if the person has a parent, sibling, friend, or even a romantic partner who's fat, they may still choose to say or do fatphobic things in order to be accepted in their social group.
What she's describing is agreeableness. There are plenty of people with many, many different issues, group settings, anything that will do that because they just want to get along with everybody. It's very common. It's a super common trait, and it's not inherently evil to be that way. It's just what it is, and it doesn't change how they actually feel about things. It's just they don't want to fight and stuff. With that, let's go ahead and move along.
This is really interesting, and I want to expand on this idea of being salvageable and how that affects how mid-sized people think of themselves.
So I just want to say it is interesting to me. The person that's commented said something to the effect of, people were worse to me when I was like more mid-size. They were more mean than after I gained more weight. And I find that to be interesting because I do think that that's true. I think that that tends to be true. It's something I observed a lot when I was growing up. People that weren't as fat as me, because I was always really fat, people that weren't as fat as me would be bullied harder or shamed harder because there was a sort of effort to try to salvage the person, because within our current medical and scientific system, if you reach a state of morbid obesity, because their ways of losing weight don't work for morbidly obese people, they claim that it is impossible because the medical dogma is insane in the Western world. It's absolutely insane. They will not question anything. And many times they just regurgitate the same thing over and over again. And a lot of people that are in the fitness space, that are focused on fat loss and these kind of things, they do the same. And if low carb doesn't work for you, if you can't stick to a deficit calorically because you're too hungry, and if you can't handle working out without having a massive increase in appetite, so therefore it doesn't work for you, they say, well, you're irredeemable. You're not able to be salvaged. So the logic then goes forward in society, and people think, I'm going to encourage people that are not that big to prevent them because prevention is the only way, which is crap. It's not true. You can get out of it. I will show people you can. And it's very frustrating that people within society in general don't think it's possible or don't even try to think of a different way. And that is the actual fat phobia of society that they would never talk about because, again, it's all a complete lack of substance. They don't talk about anything that matters. That actually matters. Why is it that most morbidly obese people, the only option we're given is surgery? Surgery that is very risky, that has effects on our bodies for the rest of our lives that are negative. Why is that the only thing offered to somebody morbidly obese, super morbidly obese? Why is that? That is fat phobia. That's real. Not, let's look at a different diet program. Let's shift the exercise regimen to something more friendly to a bigger body. Let's ask fat people what the issues are and then see if we can reconcile something or figure something out. No. If you don't fit the prescription or the prescription isn't working for you, it's not the prescription that's broken, it's you. So that's where this comes from. And I'm sorry to go on and on about it, but that is where this bullying of mid-size comes from. Now, what I do find interesting is that Miss More Than Tracy T, I don't know her name at this point, she does not actually respond to the context of the comment at all, which I found very interesting. And she just goes off on a weird tangent about something totally different and actually puts down mid-sized people. So let's watch her do that.
For the purposes of this video, as well as the one before, and I should have clarified, I'm referring to people who are actually straight size, like a 6 to 10, but call themselves mid-size. And this might also apply to people who can find their size in like plus size and straight size stores, like at 14 or 12, but it depends on the person. Basically, I think a lot of times the people who call themselves mid-size but are really like a medium are feeling really entitled to the privilege of being a truly skinny person. They don't want to be a medium. They don't want to be slightly bigger than what's socially acceptable. They want their body to fit in the beauty standard, which right now only encompasses extremely skinny people. And so they adopt the word mid-size because that makes them feel, I guess, seen by being obviously clearly not fat and not plus size, but also not as skinny as they feel that they should be. And probably a lot of people have told them that they need to be.
But for some reason, people in fat acceptance, they cannot stand the term mid-size. It's really, really odd to me. I don't know, because in the same breath, if these people were to say they were fat, these fat acceptance TikTok people would, you know it, I know it, we all know it, they would never say they were fat. They'd say, you don't understand, you don't get the struggle, you don't this, you don't that, you don't whatever, you don't whatever. So I'm like, I don't get it then. What do you want from people? If people want to put that label on themselves because they feel like it describes where they're personally at, big whoop. Who cares? How could you even pretend to care about this? But to them, it's like a huge issue. Like if I wanted to, I could probably do a whole episode on the term midsize. That's how much they talk about it. They are so upset about it. And if that's the level of what it takes to upset these people, it's like, honestly, you guys, you're going to have to get a thicker skin. And you're just going to. This is too much. These are the same people that are so upset if people talk about other people's bodies. But look at how she talks about that. She's crazy. They don't just talk about people's bodies. They infer people's thoughts because of their body. And then they want to say, you're the one that's fat phobic. No, a lot of you guys are. A lot of you guys are extremely focused on people's sizes, and you're extremely focused on what their thoughts must be because of their size. It is crazy to me.
I think the problem is like desirability is on the table for them, right? Like they feel that if the beauty standard just moves a notch, or if they just lose enough weight, or if they just this or that, they will finally be the beauty standard and all their problems will be solved. And because that is their agenda, they never fight for anybody who's larger than them. It's a much more individualist mentality. Whereas for someone like me, I've been above a size 12 my entire life, and the beauty standard was never on the table for me. I would have had to lose half my body weight at any time in my life in order to be as thin as, I thought I was supposed to be. And there is something freeing about that never being on the table, because I feel like I've been able to cope with it and to learn other things to like about myself and question it in ways that somebody for whom the beauty standard was always on the table, whether because they lost weight or it expanded, might not. And I say this as someone who up until the pandemic would have technically been mid-size. I was a size 12 to 14, but I was still never considered salvageable because 1, I'm in the entertainment industry, so the standards are narrower, and 2, because of my body shape. And I think that's really where the difference is and why I never considered using mid-size to describe myself, only fat, because I was never going to be skinny enough.
I think it's really odd how much of a virtue signal this is. This is so odd to see somebody basically, she is preaching to her choir, right? She's telling them what they want to hear, and she's telling them how amazing of a person she is by their standards. And it's very interesting because I do wonder if a lot of these fat acceptance people, they talk about standards so much, and it's like, I think they just went from one standard to another. They went from the quote-unquote typical, conventional, quote-unquote beauty standard, and now they're in the fat acceptance morality standard. Like, they're so concerned with standards all the time. I guess it's kind of like it's easier for her to change her personality than to change her body. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting, and that's sick to me. I would much rather be healthier and just look better than change my whole personality and what I think about everything to fit into a fat acceptance standard. Does that make any sense?
And I do agree, though. I experienced a lot more fat phobia when I was smaller because people did think there was more of a glimmer of hope for me, and they felt a little more comfortable, say, making fun of other fat people in my presence, or, talking about their diets to me because they didn't think I would be insulted by it because I was closer to straight size. And also because at that time I did not make TikToks about it. But yeah, I think there's a huge tenet of the mid-size experience that is about being salvageable, and we need to interrogate that and see if that salvageability is why they want to advocate.
And what would advocating be within her definition? Or should I say within fat acceptance's definition? Because she doesn't think for herself, apparently. I would wonder, what they would see as advocacy and how it would compare to what I see as advocacy. Because there are issues to actually go after within the fatness space or within how fat people are treated, but they don't care about anything that actually matters. They care about representation and how mean online comments are, and if other people are talking badly about somebody. Okay, sorry, I care a lot more about the institutions, the lack of helpful information, the lack of actually listening to people that are overweight about their experiences and about their health issues. Sorry that I find that to be a much bigger issue, especially from people that are supposed to actually help us and don't. But if you guys are interested in that, I do have an interview on my channel about actual medical fat phobia and how it presents and how unhelpful a lot of the way our medical system is, which I will link below. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys have a great day, night, whatever. I hope you enjoyed this. If you like it. Please leave your thoughts below. And like I said, the question of the day is, do you think it's ever okay to comment on people's bodies, what they eat, etc.? And if so, when? Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.